Hey, this is Jason from the Premiere Pro team, and if you haven't heard already, we have over 90 new transitions, effects, and animations in the all-new Premiere 25.5, so you want to make sure you update today. We are pushing the limits of what's possible in Premiere Pro when it comes to animation, motion design, effects, transitions, you name it. All these new effects are included in your plan. Every Premiere Pro user gets them. These effects and transitions, they are real-time. They are GPU accelerated. They play back in real time as soon as you drag and drop, and you can keep tweaking all the parameters you want in the effects control panel, and they're still going to play back in real time after you're finished working with them. They're also modern, they are gorgeous, and simply they look beautiful. So what we'll be doing today, we'll be opening up Premiere 25.5, we'll be diving in and checking out many of these new effects, transitions, and animations, and we're going to fix up a social video, and we're also going to make a motion design from scratch in Premiere. Alright, let's go. Alright, so I have my timeline here, I have a little social media spot. I have a cut down from a larger 16:9 video that I made earlier this year, and now they just want a 30-second cut down in a vertical aspect ratio. It's not bad, it's a really fun spot, the cinematography is gorgeous, we like the cut, the client likes the cut, but it doesn't really stand out. And that's where these new effects, transitions, and animations really come in. First thing we want to do is access them. Now when you update to Premiere 25.5, these are all going to be included. No need for a separate plugin or install or anything like that. These new transitions and effects are powered by Film Impact. They've been making the most gorgeous transitions, effects, and animations for just about 15 years now. So all I'm going to have to do is go up here and click on my Film Impact dashboard. Now I can access all of these effects and transitions from the effects panel, as you see right here, but there's an even cooler way to do it, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. What I'm going to do now is hover over and click on the Film Impact dashboard. This is going to give us a real-time preview of every single effect, transition, and animation before we apply it. This is a really great way to understand what it is you're getting yourself into before you apply something to your timeline. Now the Film Impact dashboard will not surface automatically when you update to Premiere 25.5. So if you want to see this and you want to see all this nice organizational folder structure with the real-time previews of your new transitions, effects, and animations, all you have to do is click on the window menu, go to extensions, and then select Film Impact dashboard. Once you do that, you'll be able to use this very useful panel. All right, let's do some editing. Let's get started. Let's dial in. Time to work. Okay, so I need a really cool opener for the spot, and I know that I want to give this commercial like kind of a retro vibe. So I'm going to find VHS transitions. I believe it's here in distortions. There we go, VHS damage. So if I want to apply an effect or transition from the Film Impact dashboard, I'm just going to select the clip right here. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to select VHS damage. As you can see, the whole transition was just applied in our first clip there. I'm going to shorten it up a little bit. Let's play it back and see how it looks. Not bad. Not bad. That's pretty awesome. I am noticing though that the video isn't coming in till like the end of the transition. So first thing we want to do is kind of like dive in and edit that. These things are so customizable. You have no idea. Let's just click on it here. Let's hop over into the effects control panel and let's go over down into transition timing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to go to like there we go. Let's go to like frame number 2 right there. Let's go to transition timing. I'm going to open this up in the ECP. Now when it says start, if the video comes in at marker like 45, 46, then I want the transition to start at marker like 44. And if I do that, we play it back. Now the video comes in right away. I'm going to tweak that just a little bit further. I want to see video on frame 2. So let's scrub this right there. Perfect. Now let's play that back and see how that looks. Awesome. All right, let's just shorten the transition a little bit more. This is a short social spot, so the transition's gonna kind of, you need it to come in right away. Let's shorten it to just like right there. Nice. All right, we're rolling. Again, we want a light bubbly feel for this spot, so I think a light leak transition would do really well right here. So let's go over to transitions, let's go to lights and blurs, and now I can see my light leak transition right here. If I want to apply this from the Film Impact dashboard, I can just shift and click both clips right here. I'm going to hover over light leak and select apply. Let's see how that looks. Nice. Okay, first things first. Let's notice that these are really complex effect-based transitions happening right now. They're all playing back in real time. Let's actually click on the beginning of the transition and let's just like hover and go frame by frame. Look at how gorgeous that looks. You can see the red and the pink, the white flash come in. We see this nice subtle dissolve right behind the lens flare. Let's dig into one of my favorite parts about these new transitions and effects. Let's talk about the surprise me button. Let's click on the transition right here. You might notice that I have a wide variety of parameters that I can affect. So if I want to keyframe any of these parameters, I can do so. I can really change anything I want to about the effect and transition itself. But my number one favorite thing about them is this new surprise me button. With the surprise me button, I can click And every single parameter of the transition or any effect in our new library of over 90 of these things, every variable will completely change. I have literally thousands of different styles that I can audition, that I can preview, so that I can really ideate outside of the box, stretch the limits of my imagination, and really find something that works for me in this spot. All right, let's hyperclick. You ready? Let's do it. Look at how fast they're changing. Okay, let's find something that works for us. Ooh, let's go back with Control Z. That one. I like that one a lot. Let's try this. I dig that. That's the one we're going to stick with. All right, let's keep going. All right, here's another good spot for a transition right here. I see two long clips right here. I'm transitioning from this handlebar shot to the front of the motorcycle, and I want to do something really wacky here. I want some kind of a spin. I want a zoom in, zoom out movement. So I'm going to go to another one of my favorites. I'm going to go to Smart Tools right here, and I'm going to choose Motion Camera. So let's select both clips. Let's go to Motion Camera. Let's click Apply, and let's see what happens. Cool. You see how like the one clip kind of morphed within the other one? We're not going to spend a lot of time keyframing this one or editing this one. I just want to click on the transition itself. Let's go to the presets. Some of these things have lots of presets, which makes it a lot easier to preview different styles, especially if it's one of the more advanced transitions like motion camera. You can really get lost on this one and just ideate to no limits. I want to try super twist out counterclockwise. Let's click on that one, play this back. That's what I'm looking for right here. So that's what I'm going to keep. And you know, we haven't really taken a look at any of the classic transitions yet, so let's do that for the second to last clip to the last clip of the timeline. I'd like a nice whoosh out. That's a technical term. That's a scientific term, the whoosh out to end the timeline. Let's go to Essentials right here. I see a nice blur dissolve. Let's do that. We can do blur dissolve. I can do blur alpha here. Let's try a blur dissolve. Let's go for it. Let's highlight these two clips right here. Let's click blur dissolve and see what we got. Nice. We're going to lengthen that out a little bit. Let's click on it. And let's just surprise me until we get something. Ooh, I like that. Another thing, you might notice that there's a lot more color in this blur right here. That's because so many of these effects and transitions come with chromatic aberration. And the chromatic aberration is really good. As someone who mostly spends most of my time on effects and on color grading, I'm a big fan of chromatic aberration. It simply just makes things more interesting. You see if I could turn it all the way down to 0 there, and go back to 100. I'm just going to dial that one up to 10. And I would dial it to 11 if I could, but this isn't Spinal Tap. This is the real world. So let's try that again and see how this looks. Nice, dig it. I think we just need one more somewhere here. When she revs up the motorcycle again, she goes back to this shot right here. I think a 3D roll would look really good right here. So the great thing about the Film Impact dashboard, also like the effects panel, I can search for things. So I can just search for 3D roll, and there we go. So let's click on these two clips, apply 3D roll, and see how the default looks. Cool. You see this spin there? Really creates a lot of depth as it's coming around here. Now let's go to a good center frame, like right here. There we go. Let's click on the transition. Click surprise me a couple times. Let's try that. Not crazy about that one. This one looks a little bit more blurry. I dig that. It's a subtle transition that kind of hides the fact that we're moving from an extreme close-up into more of a regular close-up shot, but it also adds a lot of movement and energy to the spot, which is what our client asked for, so that's what we're going to give them, right? Last thing, let's take our VHS damage transition, let's click on it, we're going to click copy, let's go to the end of the timeline right here because we want a VHS out as well, and there we go. Nice. Awesome. Again, folks, there's a lot of transitions here, and I wish we had the time to go through every single one of them. But just to recap transitions before we move on to effects, let's just take a look at each folder. In Essentials, you've got all your classic blurs, dissolves, wipes, pushes. Linear wipe is pretty rad. I really do like the classic dissolves also. A lot of these transition essentials, they're kind of just like redefined, you know? That's the way I like to think about them. They add a lot more flavor and flexibility and adaptability than other effects and transitions in Premiere. Even the classic push, the way you can truly customize these things is amazing. Lens blur, light leaks, these are some of my favorites. I like flare as well, and chroma leak. Now if we go to distortions, if you want to like, you know, really add some attitude, let's transition from this close up to this wide shot here, and let's add one of our more attitude driven transitions. Let's click on these two right here, and I'm going to click on Earthquake. Let's try that one out and see the default. That's pretty cool. So if I want to swap out a transition, I can actually just click on the same two clips right here. And now I'm just going to do flicker instead, and it'll swap and replace with the same exact timing. The flicker default is pretty cool if I, surprise me a couple times. Ooh. Clicking surprise me once has this weird purple hue. Let's see what this is like. That's pretty cool. Now let's shorten it up a lot and move it over right here. Now we're going to reduce the flicker down and really make it kind of a flash frame. There we go. I also do love grunge. You can see here if we go frame by frame, we're adding a lot of dirty texture, we're adding some film scratches, we're desaturating and then resaturating the image, and surprise me with this one also yields some pretty cool results. Ooh, that's different. Let's try this one. Yeah, just looking at the key difference between this kind of transition and if I just hit Command Z and go back, this kind of transition. Again, this is a very illustrative example of how flexible these things are. With a lot of them, especially the more advanced transitions and effects, technically it's over 90 of them total in the library that we're adding to Premiere 25.5. But I'm telling you, if there aren't hundreds of thousands of possible combinations and variables that you can put together with how flexible they are, you'll never see the same effect or transition twice if you don't want to. And okay, just because I can't help myself, one more. Kaleidoscope. Let's talk about Kaleidoscope. Never in a million years did I think there would be a transition called Kaleidoscope that I'd want to use every single day. But here we are. So let me click on Kaleidoscope right here. And let's just look at what the straight up default is doing. I mean, that's pretty cool. Let's expand it out as long as we can right there. And let's also surprise me. You know what? Let's not surprise me. We've done surprise me a lot. Let's dig in and do it ourselves. That sounds great. Okay, so number of pieces, let's go to 24 pieces in the Kaleidoscope. For the zoom, let's go all the way back here. And let's zoom out this far. That's a little radical. So we're going to be zooming very out and then coming all the way back in. It's going to happen very quickly. For the temporal rotation, let's go a little Dutch. Let's go a little Dutch. Let's flip it this way a little bit. Increase the wipe feather. And for the movement, down left, let's do upright and see how that works. All right, let's play it back. Okay, one more time. Let's just cycle through that frame by frame and appreciate all the craziness that Premiere is doing right here. So we're coming right out of the VHS transition and we're coming out. Look at that. I can see all of the motorcycles right there. We're coming all the way out. This is extremely psychedelic. It's very trippy. I love it. And then we're coming all the way back. And you can't even really tell where the fade happens. You see how seamlessly it actually is blending the colors of both shots here? Coming right back in. And I just love how on the final zoom in, as we come right down on top of the motorcycle, we're coming straight through, and now we can clearly see where we're going to land. Boom, just like that. And again, look, folks, I'm on a 16-inch MacBook Pro here, right? And it's a couple years old, and I've worn the hell out of it. There's no tricks up the sleeve. This stuff is really running back in real time with no rendering, no red render bars, no pausing whatsoever. We're just kaleidoscoping between clip to clip. I challenge all of you in the comments to post your weirdest Kaleidoscope transition and then send it so we can have a whole conversation about Kaleidoscope. All right, that's transitions. Let's have a look at effects now. So again, I knew from the start that I wanted to give this video a really dreamy, ethereal, pinkish kind of a look. Now let's start with the adjustment layer right here. This adjustment layer is now empty. With all the effects that come with the Film Impact library, you can really apply them on anything, whether it's a clip or an adjustment layer. Let's start off with Vignette, right? This is a very cool vignette tool. This is not your dad's vignette tool. This is not your mom's vignette tool. Let's click apply on the adjustment layer. We can see already right off the bat, it's doing a lot of work. I'm going to surprise me until I get something with a little bit of a blur and darkness. Great, there we go, right there, right off the bat. I only had to click surprise me like 3 times. I see chromatic aberration here. I'm going to dial that up a little bit higher. What I'm also going to do is, let's feather it out a little bit more. Oh, I see what we're doing here. This one's kind of tilted a little bit, so the vertical axis in the center is giving us mismatched corner pinches on each side, but I kind of dig it. I don't hate it. If I didn't like it, I could just zoop into another direction if I wanted to. Let's turn softness up a little bit more. There we go. Now this is also going to add blur to the vignette when I adjust softness right here. See, right now we just have darkness, but if I add blur, that's where the chromatic aberration comes in. And if I really look at, this portion of the image right here, that's looking pretty cool. So let's keep that. One last before and after so we can see the work that it's doing. Great. Now let's go to lights and blurs. The lights and blurs section of the Film Impact dashboard is a very special thing. I have absolutely fallen in love with these. Again, I was a colorist for almost 20 years, and the thing about effects like these, you can do all the color correction you want in Lumetri with our new awesome color pipeline. Check that out if you know you know. But being able to add just like light leaks, volumetric rays, really beautiful glows and glints, edge glows and echoes, really photorealistic bokeh blurs. This is how we elevate our color grading and our cinematography together, and how we really elevate the video to take it to the next level. These lights and blurs are about embellishing and being creative and unique and expressive with everything above the cut. So let's apply Wonderglow. I got the adjustment layer selected. I got Wonderglow right here. Let's click apply. There we go. We turn it on and off. It's not making a huge difference right now. It's subtle. Let's go in there for a second because we're about to make it not subtle. But let's appreciate the subtlety of the default. If I zoom in to the screen right here and we turn it on and off, you can see we have this really nice glow on the jacket, on the light. I can turn that on and off. Yeah, it's a really nice solid glow. And if I just wanted to tweak this a tiny bit and keep this subtle look, and just, let's scroll down here, just maybe dial up the intensity a little bit, maybe adjust the vibrance a little bit. That's pretty good. But I want this glow to do a lot more. The Wonder Glows can actually have quite a significant impact on the overall look and color of your project, if you want them to. Let's go back. That's a good one right there. You see, this is adding this really powdery, blue, purplish look to the video, and I absolutely dig it. Now, I have two color pickers here. If I choose the color of the glow, I can pick my eyedropper here. Let's click the red of the jacket, and then for the ambient glow, let's do more of a pink. No, more of a purple. What are we thinking? There we go. That's it. All right, if we turn that on and off, there we go. Now, if I turn the whole adjustment layer on and off, which is just carrying the vignette and the Wonderglow, look at how much work these two effects are doing to essentially give our whole project a really nice look. If we play that back from start with the transitions and the effects we've added so far, it looks pretty awesome. Next up, let's add some camera shake. All right, so our subject, she comes to a stop right here. She's looking while the motorcycle is moving, the camera is not moving, the camera is absolutely locked off. The camera shake tool is good enough to turn any stable static tripod shot and make it look as if it was actually captured on someone's shoulder. So for effects, I'm going to go to Motion FX. Okay, here we go. Now I can just add camera shake. You can see we have a bit of a zoom in here. Now let's see what the initial result is. A little bit more shake. I dig it. I think we can take it a little bit further. If I go to camera mode, these are some good presets. Let's do slow walk instead of one-handed. That's going to zoom in a lot. No worries. I can go to pre-transform right here. I can apply the pre-scale. Now it's going to zoom the clip all the way out. And I'm just going to zoom in until I have a little bit of headroom right there. And let's see what that looks like. That's better. Nice. So this is the clip before the camera shake. And here's the clip after. It's a lot of really nice shake right there. And again, this is very customizable. The roll, the lean, the variation, the stabilization, the speed, the auto scale. There's a hero control for just 0 through 100 to figure out how strong the effect is overall. I can turn that down a little bit right there. That's a safe middle ground. I dig that. We're going to be getting into more of the effects just a little bit. One thing I just want to point out here, when it comes to very simple animation of your text and graphics, the Motion FX folder under Effects is just fantastic. Let's go back to the first graphic right here. We can see that feeling when you need a little treat. Let's just click on that graphic. Let's just go in and apply a 3D rotate. See what that looks like. Let's not do that. That's a bad idea. Let's just apply grow really quickly. Now you can see it coming out. And of course I can click on the grow effect. I can set this to be continuous or to a destination. You know, I can add a lot of these. 3D rotate, grow, shrink, get the idea. I'll apply wiggle to see what that looks like. It's not exactly the vibe I'm going for, but it's cool to know that I can just go ahead and apply a one-click animation to that, and I can grow my titles out, I can shrink them, I can make them shake, I can make them wiggle, I can make them move, spin, I can space the characters out. Let's also just go ahead and apply spacer right here to see what that looks like. So now I have grow and spacer applied to this text on the top. So now it's wiggling and it's spreading across. Not exactly the look we're going for, but illustrated to just show you how it works. Let's delete spacer, let's delete wiggle right there. What I actually want to add is more of a funky effect. I want the text to not exactly be like, you know, on social you see a lot of that like plain block text with like a block in the background. Let's go beyond that. This is Premiere Pro. Let's do something really special. So let's go down to transitions. So let's go to lights and blurs. RGB split. This is a really cool like anaglyph 3D type effect. So when I click on it and I zoom in here, we can see, okay, now we have this anaglyph 3D look. So let's reduce the horizontal split to 0.5. Let's add a vertical split of 0.5. Actually, let's reduce that down to 0.2. Let's do some channel shift so we can kind of change the colors that we're seeing. Yeah, I like that purple pink vibe. Now let's go ahead and feather it out. Feather out the effect so that it's a little bit more subtle on the bottom. Let's increase the softness. There you go. Let's adjust that channel shift just a little bit more. Yeah, nice glowy halation. All right, so if we zoom in all the way here, we can see we have this nice inner outer shadow between the pink and the green, but we also have this really wonderful green glow coming off of the text. And if I just want to experiment with the channel shift a little bit further, I think that's what I want right there with that pink border. Let's go ahead and just decrease the horizontal split to 0.3 and the vertical split to 0.1 and nice refinement. So let's zoom all the way back out and let's apply a transition as an animation right here. For animation, I have block motion, travel, pop, spin, spring, pull. Let's pull in so it feels like the text is like coming in from like, you know, from behind the camera. Let's go ahead and add a quick pop right there. Obviously we want that to happen a lot faster and we want the graphic to come in right with the video. Let's make that even faster and try it again. There we go. That's it. That's what we want. See that little, it has that little pom pom and it has velocity. It has boom boom, some physics in it. One more time, let's play it back. Great. It's like the Law and Order sound or something. All right, so now what I can do, I have this RGB split. You know what, let me do something else a little funky, because we can do anything we want here. There are no rules. We're the grown-ups. Effects, motion, camera shake. Does that work? Is that a thing? Nah. Okay, so now I can simply hit Command-C. Let's highlight all of our other texts right here. Let's right-click, paste attributes. Let's move the RGB split effect over, and now all of our graphics have that same pink vibe. And again, it's very subtle. It's enough so that it's going to stand out without adding an actual drop shadow, without adding an actual bordered background, without adding a stroke on the edge of the text. It's a, you know, it's a nice blurry little effect that now anyone can do. All right, we do want to have some transitions between those, so I'm going to go to Transitions, Distortions. Let's click on these two right here. Let's apply Glitch 2.0. Let's shorten that up. Play that back. Perfect. Let's shorten it up one more time. Look at what the glitch is doing. I kind of dig this. As it glitches, it's picking up the pink from the RGB split. Oh, it's doing some funky stuff there. Oh, I love that. Okay, let's go back. Play it back one more time. Awesome. Okay, let's copy and paste this. Copy, pasta, copy, pasta, copy, pasta. There's probably a faster way to do this. If there is, tell me in the comments, but I am a jabroni and I did it the long way. Let's play this back a little bit. We have the vignette, we have the Wonder Glow, we have all these effects on the texts, we have the transitions. This spot is now significantly more interesting than it was before, especially with that camera shake. Playing us all the way out to that VHS damage transition to close us out. Cool. Nice. All right, so that's a look at using your transitions and effects to make your text pop out, add really gorgeous, unique transitions that are highly customizable, add some effects that are going to level up your color grading. Okay, animation. Let's talk about animation and motion design. You know, for years, if you need any kind of a text or graphics animation that was anything above mild, or I can knock it out with one keyframe, the story, tale as old as time, is, okay, I'm going to dynamic link and I'm going to bring this into After Effects, or I'm just going to do this in After Effects. And that's awesome. If you love After Effects, I love After Effects as well, but I am in no way, shape, or form a professional motion designer. I'm a video editor, but I got to get my graphics out as fast as the next guy. So since you can use these effects and transitions to kind of like do animation for lower thirds and cinematic titles, I was thinking to myself, like, how far can you really push these things? Can you actually do any kind of significant motion designer animation in Premiere Pro now with these over 90 new effects, transitions, and animations? So I challenged myself to figure it out. So what I did is I took nothing but these two PNGs, a Premiere logo and an Adobe Firefly logo. And I timed them out, I stacked them a little bit, I have them up in a little 4-up box right here, then they turn into just one with the big Firefly logo in the background. And I thought, okay, how far can you push the concept of animation and motion design inside Premiere Pro with nothing but two PNGs? I will let the results speak for themselves. I'm just going to go ahead and play back this timeline right now, and then we'll dig in right after it's done. All right, that was fun. That's just straight up fun. I told you not to sleep on Kaleidoscope. I don't know if you believe me. I don't know. I was talking about Kaleidoscope before. I don't know who out there was like, oh, this jabroni, who wants to use a Kaleidoscope transition? But like, dude, look at this. Look at the complexity of this one frame. This is from one PNG. And dragging and dropping a transition. Yeah. So again, no tricks up the sleeve here. These are all real-time video previews. Nothing's been rendered in Premiere Pro. I was able to accomplish this animation and motion design not by going into After Effects, but by sticking with the modalities that make sense to me. And as a video editor and as a colorist, what that is dragging and dropping effects and transitions. Do we have the same level of control as we have in After Effects? No. Absolutely not. After Effects is a special place where you can build cathedrals that truly do stretch the limits of anyone's imagination. This is not After Effects. But with these over 90 new transitions, effects, and animations, video editors can be dangerous now in Premiere with some of this stuff. I invite you, explore. Take some dumb little PNGs, take a logo graphic, see how far you can take it. All right, So let's dive in and take a look at what's happening here in the timeline. I'm going to mute the audio track because we're working on the visuals now, all right? We don't care about sound right now. I'm just kidding. Everyone always cares about sound. If my buddy Adolfo on the Premiere Audio team sees this, he's going to be very upset with me. So don't show this to Adolfo. Okay, let's press play here. So as you can see, I used my RGB split effect that I really like on the white text right here. Feel free to take that trick if you like how this looks. I love how this looks. When we zoom into this one, based on how I tweak the RGB split, look at the pink glow, and it's so subtle that the blue and the red orange tint over the letters almost has this like 3D embeveling thing that it's doing. I dig it. So we got my RGB split, and on this adjustment layer, I just have that grow animation that I showed you earlier. And this way, I can just slap my graphics on the timeline, adjustment layer, stretch it out, grow. So now I know I have a consistent grow that can be animated throughout the whole thing. So I don't have to make nests or do anything else like that. And keyframe manually in the effects control panel. All right, next up we got kaleidoscope. So we're coming out, no rendering, real-time playback. Let's go. And this comes back out and transforms into the kaleidoscope. And I can show you what this looks like without it, by the way. I'll click on this kaleidoscope transition, delete it. Let's just see what it looks like before. There we go. So let's talk about this effect right here. This clip is, well, let's undo that real quick. Well, no. Let's get the kaleidoscope back in. This is using an effect called Clone FX. It's in the Effects folder under Tools FX. You can see Clone FX. And if you zoom in here, you can see, well, this is a tool where you can take any logo, any PNG. You can even do it with emojis. I have tested it. It works. Sends smiley faces or whatever, warping all around the screen. It duplicates and animates logos. So you can create really nice animated backgrounds or just really cool motion designs with a logo. When you click on the logo right here, I can see I have Clone FX. Now, one thing you want to do, if you apply Clone FX for the first time, you might not see anything happen. And you're going to be like, this guy on the internet lied to me and told me that I can do a cool thing by just dragging and dropping a thing. You still can, don't worry. But here's what you have to do. Animation mode right here is one very important part of the Clone FX tool. On the drop-down menu, it might be static by default. So you want to make sure you press continuous. The most important things here are the horizontal and vertical speed and initial spacing. What's the initial spacing? What's the initial speed? The initial spacing is going to figure out, how far apart do we want these logos to start? How fast do we want them to move? And then also the amount of clones. I can make this, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can move it all the way up to 32. And if I move it all the way up to 32 and I go to my pre-scale and I zoom all the way out, you can see how many clones we've made here. So let's just play that back in real time. Let's go as far out as, I think that's it right there. So let's just play that real quick. That was kind of giving me like a like a 2001 Space Odyssey, just like, That's obviously crazy and obnoxious, but very practical, and you can use it in a lot of applications. So let's undo until we get the kaleidoscope back. Let's play that back one more time. Cool. So as you can see, what I did, I intentionally had the Firefly graphic start first and then come out from the back, expanding outwards that way. That way I knew that when I added the kaleidoscope would be coming down as the graphics were expanding out, and I figured it would make kind of a cool look. And there we go. So this next transition right here is 3D roll. Now, 3D roll does exactly as it sounds. We did look at it earlier, but it was in kind of 2 close-up clips, and we didn't have enough time to really see what 3D roll was doing. So 3D roll kind of locks in and then turns around in 3D. Coming into another clone effect, I had the Firefly logo position around the center and just had them kind of dance around in a circle like that. Now, we bring in the Premiere logo right here. I'm using a glitch transition. I did another wide out clone effects, having them rotate around, similar to what I did with the Firefly logo before. And here I'm using the slice transition. Now this is another one of my favorites. Let's actually zoom in here and take a close look at what slice is doing. If I peek through here frame by frame, you can see these ribbons kind of start showing up. And if you look at this frame, like it looks like these ribbons of logos are taking over, like from an almost aerial view, like I'm looking down. And you can see like the peak of the graphics that lay beneath it as it gets completely covered and blurs and slices out with this purple light, which I customized to match the Premiere logo. And now we are right here. This effect is also one of my favorites. This is a great way of mixing a film impact animation, which is clone effects, with an adjustment layer with a different effect or transition applied to it. At the end of the day, one of the limitations, obviously, you can only apply like one transition on a clip at a time. So if you want to do something else that's effect or transition or time-based, adding an adjustment layer on top and applying it to that can be a really great way to work around that. But this blur is actually coming from the bokeh blur effect that I referenced earlier. Now, if we zoom in and look at this blur, we can see, again, I have some chromatic aberration, obviously, but it's a very, very photorealistic blur. It looks stunning, but it's just on the adjustment layer. So the bokeh blur, you can see right here, is keyframed in the ECP. All I did was, start here with nothing. That's like my home base. And as it goes back, I Bezier curved for the blur to be very strong, and then kind of timed it to slingshot back. And then the blur disappears because I'm using the motion camera transition to transition out. And I don't want that to be blurry. I want the transition to do what the transition wants to do because it looks great by itself. So I actually I keyframe the opacity to 0 as this flies out. So we have a nice fade in to the Firefly logo coming in. And again, just even looking at this frame, looking at the motion blur and the distortion and the warping and the timing of the absolute last instance of the Premiere logo as a tiny little blur shooting out behind the camera with the Firefly logos coming in. It's so cool. I mean, if you were to tell me that any kind of transition could accomplish, and effects could accomplish something like this, I tell you, you're crazy. It wasn't until I really sat down and truly started playing with these things that it started to absolutely blow my mind. Next up, we got the light sweep. Pretty self-explanatory. If I delete that, we play the before, undo that, play the after. And you can see the timing. Let's frame by frame this one too. Look at what it did to the simple Premiere logo. I mean, it looks fantastic. And I timed this one out to make sure that the light sweep ended on the exact moment that VHS damage starts before it takes us into the 8-bit moment. Oh, I also forgot to show you, with the blur on right here, when I turn the blur off, this is what it looks like without the blur. Still pretty cool, a lot more cool when I turn on the adjustment layer with the bokeh blur applied. Okay, so now I have a VHS damage transition coming into this 8-bit moment. And this 8-bit moment, I wanted it to kind of look like, like an old school video game from the 80s. The cool thing about this is that I VHS transition into it, obviously, because it's a retro-ish transition going into a retro kind of a look. This is just the Mosaic FX effect. Mosaic is available as a transition and as an effect. It's one of the few rare ones in the Film Impact library where we get an effect and a transition with the same thing. So if I turn off the adjustment layer, we can see this is what it looks like before. Not super impressive. I intentionally made the wackiest, most turbulent clone effect I could possibly come up with. I turned the speed and velocity and rotation just like all the way around. But I knew that if I put Mosaic on here and I could get the tweaking to where I wanted it, that it would create this beautiful dancing grid in the background. And if we take this frame by frame and just look at it, we have the VHS damage right here. We start with 1 pixel, and just look at the blending around here. This is great. 1 pixel, 2, 9. It's way more. And we see our Premiere logo just emerge. And the wall of red pixels turns into these really gorgeous patterns here. We TV power out of that because, you know, VHS to retro 8-bit to TV out, because why not, right? The last thing I really want to walk you through is Motion Tween. Motion Tween is a really, really special transition for animation, and I'm going to show you how it works. You can see I used the pull, which is from the animation transitions right here. I used pull right here, and I tweaked the presets to bring in, fly in each Premiere logo independently. But if we look at the before timeline, we can see right here that what I did is I took these 4 PNGs, and then I stacked them all on top of each other in the same place and just did a cut. What Motion Tween does is it will take a look at where any logo or graphic was before the cut and then where it is after the cut. And it will magically animate it to get from A to B in as much or as little time, with as much or as little motion as you want. But let me tell you, this thing is buttery smooth. Because let's just play it back. The Motion Tween's on right now. So all I did is I clicked on Motion Tween, I set custom preset. I forget which preset this was originally based off of, because obviously I did customize it and tweak it after I picked the preset I wanted. But there's a lot of presets here, y'all. From accelerating to rolling, yawing, pitching, bouncing, overshooting, quivering. There's a lot of options here. So what I did is I just picked the opposite direction. So these two are kind of coming down and out and back up. These two transitions are going up and around and back for those logos, knowing that they're going to end up in the same spot. And because they have the same timing, I knew that they would jiggle and just like kind of come together at the same time. So check out Motion Tween. If you really want like a really simple, like, okay, I want to start doing some advanced stuff with the new 90 effects transitions and animations in Premiere 25.5, lean on Motion Tween, take a logo, take a graphic, split it, put one somewhere, put another one somewhere else, apply that Motion Tween transition, and just watch it magically dance from one area of the screen to the other. And then you can control it by controlling the transition itself. And then we have a glass impact transition out, which obviously does a cool glass thing, also highly customized. Honestly, at the end of the day, it took me like, I don't know, it probably took me like 30-40 minutes to really put this together from scratch. And this is like 30 seconds of animation and motion design. Again, like I can find my way around After Effects, but I'm not a pro motion designer. So if I'm going to After Effects, I don't know, this would have taken me a day or two. Maybe I wouldn't have found this style or a lot of the things that I'm doing because I don't know how to go like all the way down and deep in that application. But now we can do a lot more in Premiere Pro as video editors. All right, well, that is it, folks. Thank you for hanging out with us. What we just did is we reviewed many of the 90 new transitions, effects, and animations in Premiere Pro 25.5, which is available now. Go to your Creative Cloud app, update to Premiere Pro 25.5, and all of these transitions and effects are waiting for you. And again, you can access them in the Effects panel, or you can go to the Window menu, go to Extensions, and click on the Film Impact dashboard. Now that we have Film Impact in the fold, what kinds of transitions, effects, and animations do you folks want to see next? Where should we go with this? As always, almost every single thing we do in Premiere Pro is directly based on community feedback from video editors all around the world. So we want to hear your voice. We want to hear from you. What do you think about these transitions and effects? What are you excited about? Let us know. Thanks for hanging out. This has been fun, and I will catch you later.